You know, I was just working on cleaning up a lot of these plastics in the parts cleaner, and I couldn't get over how filthy they were. Clearly they had a lot of oil residue on them that the dirt had been sticking to. Like inside here you can see it's pretty bad. I haven't cleaned this yet. But inside here it was really bad, and especially the orange case that goes on this other side here. And it got me to thinking, I wonder whether or not that's like a clue when guys service these. I wonder if, like, when they pull these apart, if they see a whole lot of dirt, caked on dirt from oil residue, if that's a clue that they've had a leak. They've either had seals that were leaking or a crankcase that was leaking. And that's just a thought. In other words, the oil fuel mixture coming out of places it shouldn't be coming out of. Good grief, reassembling this thing is a pain in the butt. The screws that hold the carburetor on, they're really long, and they go through the filter housing here, then through the carburetor, through a gasket, then through the carburetor, then through another gasket, then thread into this piece back here. So you have to put this whole assembly in when you're screwing this all together. You also need to get the impulse line on the back here. That isn't too bad. The real pain is that the two fuel lines, the supply and the return line down here, they run in channels along the back here of this and come up. So you got to get those in position, and I was just gonna, I got it all screwed together and ready to go. And the thing I didn't do is I didn't connect the throttle cable, because, well, here's the throttle, right? But the connection is on the other side. It's inside here. So it has to hook onto here, and then guess what? It runs and sits in another channel on the back side of this. So if I don't put the throttle cable on now, even if I get it running, I'm just going to end up having to take it apart later to put the throttle cable back on. I was just going to try and test run it like this without the fan impeller on there, but it's just the way it is. It's almost like you got to pretty much almost reassemble it completely before you can even try and run it. I pulled out the two carburetor screws and I'll pull this off again and show you what I'm talking about. The other thing too is I had put this cover on and then realized that this has to go underneath this cover. So, but the real catch-22 here is just this backside. So I'm going to pull the impulse line off so I can flip this over and show you what's going on the back here. So this is how these lines are routed. So one is just slightly longer than the other. So the slightly longer one is in this middlemost channel. All right, and you see it's got to be just right, the alignment here, because you don't want that being pinched, because that'll cause you problems for you. So you can see there's three channels here. There's a channel here that this line runs through this hole and then goes over to the primer bulb, and then a little line comes out of the primer bulb and goes over to the carburetor. Then you get the other line comes out of the carburetor, runs through this little opening down this channel to return to the tank. And then this little area right here is where that throttle cable has to hook into. The sheath sits in here, and then the wire from the cable comes up and hooks onto here. And of course the throttle cable and the kill switch are all part of this monstrous assembly right here, which I could take this cable off here, but then I got to take this whole assembly apart, and I really don't want to do that. This whole handle assembly I got to take apart. I really don't want to deal with that, so I'm just going to put this off to the side of the bench and work with it. This has got this mystery material on here. Never did figure out what this was. Never did figure out whether or not this came out of the engine when it was running, or did somebody pour something in this engine, or this is just the weirdest stuff. Some kind of goop, schmoo. It is just beyond the pale. I did scrape off some of it that was on the muffler here that I could see. So in case it gets hot, it won't start burning and smelling bad or whatever. And there's still some on the body over here. 'Tis a mystery. Now I don't remember. I don't remember the routing of this wiring now. I mean, obviously this can't get this wrong because they made it 2 different size spade connections on this ignition coil. Now that looks like the regular 1/4 inch, and then that one's a smaller one. So this is how it electrically hooks up. I just don't remember how this cable routed. Oh, I bet you that's what this channel's for. Bet you that's what this channel right here is for. Yeah, see, this plastic piece comes down. This plastic piece kind of comes down over here like this. Like this. This goes like this, right? And there's a little notch right in here, so this has got to sit here. Okay. Where does it go from there? I don't know. Could that go all the way down here and then go in that channel? That's kind of weird. I actually don't know what that's for. I thought I had the routing right. I think there's a picture of it in the service manual. Yeah, so I found the picture and it shows that there's nothing in this location right here, so I guess that's not used. I did find something else though I just didn't notice before. I did find a place in the service manual where it said you could do a compression test and that when you crank the engine quickly you should get at least 7.5 bar. 7.5 bar converts to 108 foot-pounds. So that's pretty good, right? Not foot-pounds, PSI. I meant to say PSI. 108 PSI, which I think I got that the other night when I tried the compression test. And it actually says that if it's significantly higher than that, then you should suspect that there's a problem with the decompression mechanism on that cam gear that I showed a while back. Alright, so I'm getting ready to put the main blower assembly, which I've got like all put together, back into the backpack section that has the fuel tank. The fuel tank's actually bolted to the bottom of this thing. So this is kind of another pain in the butt. There's a very small space in here to work in, looking from the back here, once this big unit is mounted in here. So getting these lines on can be a little bit tricky. And you could easily put the lines on backwards. You could switch them. And you want to make sure you get them on right, otherwise you can have all kinds of problems. So, believe it or not, looking at these things, they almost look identical. So they almost look identical. This is the breather, okay? This is what is responsible for equalizing pressure in the tank. Pardon the interruption. But anyways, there actually is a difference between these two nipples that helps you tell them apart. One has got a larger diameter than the other. At first glance, they look almost identical. I just brought out my numbered drill set, and if I take this drill bit right here, I can get this drill bit to go in on this side, no problem, but it will not go in on this side. And then I have to go like 3 sizes down before I can find a drill bit that will fit in on this side. So for our purposes, all I need to know is which one is larger and which one is the smaller. So the smaller one is closest to the breather, which is the end that closest to the end with the fill cap on it. So that's the return, and this larger diameter one here should be the one that's attached to another hose that goes to the fuel filter, the in-tank fuel filter. And we've got the 2 lines here. One line is slightly larger than the other line as far as the diameter goes. It's kind of hard to tell, again, looking at it, but the easiest way to tell, one of these lines goes directly up to the primer bulb. In other words, this primer bulb right here. On the back of this primer bulb, there are 2 connections. One is a longer stub than the other. The longer stub connection should have a hose that goes directly to the tank. The shorter one goes to the carburetor. So if I push this bulb, when I press this bulb in on one of these 2 lines, when I release the bulb, there should be a vacuum. It's very slight little kiss. So That's trying to draw fuel up when the bulb is released. So that's my line that goes to the larger diameter nipple on the tank. So I'm just going to mark this with the Sharpie a little bit. All right, put some fresh fuel in here. See if the I did already check to make sure I had spark before I put the whole shroud and everything all back together. That's full choke. See if this primer bulb is working. Yep, fuel's coming in. Alright, so that's the start position. Maybe it's choke first. Well, that don't seem right. Alright, let's see where this carburetor is adjusted. I noticed that the limiter caps, the plastic caps that are normally on these mixture screws that basically stop you from being able to turn these too far out of whack from the factory settings, are completely missing. So that means these could be anywhere. So I'm gonna do what the manual says to set this to what they call the basic setting to get you started, and then you tune it from there. So the basic setting is, with the limiter caps off, you screw in both screws till they're lightly seated, and then you back out the high speed screw 3.5 turns and the low speed screw 2 turns. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to count how many turns I have to turn these in, because I'm curious to see where they're set right now. I'm hoping they're way off, because that would explain why it's running so weird. It's getting dark enough out here that I can't see what I'm doing. I need a screwdriver. I just realized I said screwdriver, I meant flashlight. Man, well, no wonder why I can't turn these. These don't have slots in the end of them. Oh, come on. Must have a special tool they use for adjusting these. Oh, looks like my Exolite 5/32 of an inch nut driver fits on these. So let's see. So that's one. Not quite 2 full. No, hold on. I just want to a little further. Alright, so that was 2 full turns on that left-hand one. Alright, these should be labeled, but they're not. Looks like the outside one here is the high, and the inside one here is the low. Alright, so high is the outside one. 3.5 full turns. It's still warm enough to start it without the choke or not. Turn the idle up just a little bit. The stripped out screw on the recoil starter fell out. Figured I'd figured a way to deal with that issue of that screw being stripped out after I get everything else straightened out. Didn't seem to really want to waste too much time fixing that, only to find out that this thing might not be even salvageable. Seems like fuel delivery. Seems like a fuel delivery issue if I had to guess.